The Supreme Court will allow a new and very controversial abortion law to go through in Texas, banning abortions if a heartbeat is detectable, typically around the 6-week mark. A lot of reaction around the country on both sides. In a statement, Indiana House Speaker Todd Huston said, "We're closely watching what's happening in Texas in regards to their new pro-life law, including any legal challenges." He says Indiana is one of the most pro-life states in the country, in his words, and will continue to examine ways to further protect life at all stages. I'm joined now by our panel, Rima Shahid, Mike Murphy, Laura Wilson, Tony Samuel. Let's start with Rima Shahid from Women for Change Indiana. Rima, legislative leaders have also said they don't plan to address any other bills in this upcoming redistricting session this month, but we may very well see abortion bills like this put forward come January. How do you see this debate playing out here in Indiana in the coming months?
Well, it was earlier this week that Representative Liz Brown did share her intentions of authoring a similar bill here in Indiana, like the one we saw in Texas. And Women for Change, we stand for women's bodily autonomy and women to have economic stability and the right to make economic and personal decisions for themselves. And I think it's unfortunate that we're spending time on these issues and involving the government in personal matters when they really shouldn't be.
Now, let's turn to former GOP lawmaker Mike Murphy. You served in the General Assembly. Mike, do you expect that we'll see indeed legislation like this here in the Hoosier State next session? And how difficult an issue will this be for the legislature with potential legal challenges looming?
Well, I think I would be shocked actually if it did not show up in January. As Speaker Huston said, we're one of the most pro-life states in the country, very polarized. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to be a member of the Democratic Party and be pro-life. And so it's really come down to Republican versus Democrat. We could see anything from emotion to walkouts to lawsuits over this. It'll be a big issue, and obviously ends up in the federal courts at some point.
I'm going to bring in UIndy political science professor Dr. Laura Wilson. Laura, is there some political risk to this for Republicans? And conversely, you have Democrats looking to codify Roe v. Wade in the House. It seems like this could turn into a very big issue ahead of the midterms next year.
Very clearly, this is taking one state law and pushing it to the boundaries, like pushing it to the margins. There hasn't been a challenge like this to Roe versus Wade since its inception. And yet we've seen Mississippi, certainly here in Indiana, a number of different state legislatures really pushing back and challenging the question of legality of abortion. I have no doubt that, as Mike said, this will be a topic in Indiana, regardless of what others might think, and also bring it again to the national stage and spotlight the question of not just what should be allowed in one particular state, but what we as a country really see in our future for this policy.
And let's turn to finally here to Tony Samuel, 2016 vice chair for the Indiana Trump campaign. Tony, we haven't heard much yet from Governor Holcomb on this. We have seen Attorney General Todd Rokita very vocal on this issue in recent days, calling it a huge win for Texas and the pro-life movement. But he's lost a lot of court battles already in his time as AG, including the lawsuit over the governor's emergency powers. Would the state be headed for another long legal battle on this issue?
I think so. I agree with what Mike said. We're going to see a lot of debate. Could get heated, and it could get in the way of other business. But it's something that Republicans will feel they need to do, and Todd Rokita will be on that side. I think Governor Holcomb will maybe stand back and wait and see. You might see some effort in this redistricting session coming up here in mid-September for a couple of weeks on second reading amendments, but they won't go anywhere. They'll be ruled not germane to the redistricting bill. And then maybe that'll be used in Republican primaries. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out for sure. As we mentioned earlier, the governor holding a news briefing this week talking about the Afghan refugees now here in Indiana at Camp Atterbury. Rima, you had some very poignant, very personal reflections on the situation in Afghanistan a couple of weeks ago. Your reaction now to seeing these refugees here in the Hoosier State after everything they've been through in recent weeks?
Yeah, like I shared last time, I am the proud granddaughter of Afghan refugees that resettled in Pakistan. So I am thrilled that they will be here in our great Hoosier State. And I applaud what the governor said, that these are folks that have assisted and supported and stood by the United States government. And it is our time to support them as they get resettled. And kudos and congrats to the city of Edinburgh, which will now double its population. So how great for them. And they're going to bring great diverse richness to Indiana, and I really look forward to having them here.
Mike, your thoughts on Indiana's role in all this and how the governor has handled this situation? It does potentially seem to paint a bit of a contrast with former Governor Pence's position on Syrian refugees a few years back.
Well, every situation has its own elements, so I don't want to go back and judge Pence, but I can tell you right now that you can't begin to appreciate how proud I am of Governor Holcomb for doing what he did. The great thing about Holcomb is he just does what's right and he lets the chips fall where they may, despite what I think is some pretty significant potential for flashback from some Republicans.
Well, Laura, in the meantime, the situation in Afghanistan, Hurricane Ida, the Delta variant, jobs numbers that fell short of the mark. It's been a challenging week for the Biden administration, and the president's approval numbers have been reflecting that in recent weeks.
They have. I think this is the first really big week in terms of seeing that decline for the numbers. There have been a lot of challenges to what he's been doing as a leader thus far that we've really seen rise. I understand, when we look at these numbers, there's going to be ups and downs, and of course there'll be averages as well. You can't change what's already happened, but certainly you can change your reactions going forward, and that's going to be the challenge of the Biden administration, is figuring out how they adjust, how they reflect, and try to boost up those numbers again. Get people excited about what they're doing and believing that they're making the right decisions through their administration.
Tony, your response to that, and do you think we'll be hearing more from former President Trump down the road about a potential 2024 campaign sometime soon, or do you think ultimately he'll decide against that?
No, I think he'll be running, and I think it'll be actually the timing probably sooner than I originally thought. But I've always thought that he wants to run again. He should run again. The country needs him, and I think he'll be making that announcement sooner, because this was a catastrophe, and this was all on Joe Biden, the way that he handled this. It was a terrible withdrawal. He tries to make the case that we needed to be out of Afghanistan. Nobody disagrees with that. We don't want our service members in a war for 20 years, but it's the withdrawal that he made terrible decisions on. And one thing you don't hear in the national media enough is that he had the experience from Iraq. In Iraq, the war ended. They declared an end to the war in 2011, but by 2014, ISIS was spreading across the country and into Syria and defeating the Iraqi army and taking our weapons. The same thing happened in Iraq, and Joe Biden was there as vice president. He should have known this, and I think he did know this. I think he lied to the American public, and now you've got $85 billion worth of U.S. military equipment in the hands of the Taliban, and we're no better off than we were 20 years ago when we went off. We're actually worse off with Americans held behind enemy lines, with Afghan girls being raped and forced into marriage with Taliban fighters, with interpreters and others that have helped the U.S. military over the 20 years. And then, of course, the worst thing, the 13 service members that were killed a week ago. So it was just terribly mishandled by Joe Biden.
Laura, will this continue to be a political liability for the president? Do you see many other crises emerging in front of his desk here in the coming months, obviously, as we continue to fight this Delta variant right now?
The unfortunate political reality is there are more than enough crises to occupy one mind. Voters tend to have short memories, but for people for whom this really mattered, they're not going to forget it very easily. For people who felt directly impacted by this decision, no doubt this will be really catastrophic there. I do think, we talk about like an impact on midterms or things like that. There's just so much that will happen before then. In that regard, there are other opportunities. There are opportunities for challenges, there are opportunities for failures, but there are also opportunities for successes, and that's really going to be up to the Biden administration to see how they handle them.
A lot going on all at once, no doubt. All right, coming up next this Sunday in Focus, the Indianapolis City County Council tackles the mayor's budget and the plans to fight violent crime.